G'day, g'day, how you going? What do you know? Don't strike a light. G'day, g'day, and how you going? Just say g'day, 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 and you'll be right.
Now we come to the portion of the service before we do our Bible study that we address some end times news and trends that are happening as it relates to Bible prophecy. And just thinking through just over the last several weeks, and just there's so many events that are going on around the world, so many interesting news items, and even just over the last several years. From the terrorism perspective and all the things that are happening, you also see all the killings and murders, the violence off the charts around the world, the number of abortions. There's a statistic that came out this week saying there was an estimate of 28 million babies that have been slaughtered this year worldwide. 28 million babies have been slaughtered and murdered. And that number will probably end up growing a little bit more, as there's a UN Human Rights Committee that will probably be rewriting the definition of the right to life, meaning the right to kill is a better option of what they're thinking through. And but you also see the sexual perversion, the immorality has grown exponentially over the recent years, and it's just you see the attacks of Satan, the moral issues, the rebellion and wickedness. So these are the end times. And I was reminded of the question that the disciples were asking Jesus, what will be the sign of your coming in the end of the age? It was a question, how soon is it before the Lord comes back? And it's just, for us, we know it's just a matter of time. But Jesus answered and said, this is in Matthew 24, but as in the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man be. For in the days will be before the flood, there will be eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, until the day of Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away, and so will be the coming of the Son of Man be. And that is a significant statement that Jesus not only talks about the history of the flood, and it happened, and we see the evidence of it, but he was encouraging us to look carefully at the things before what took place before the flood came, because the characteristics that happened then are happening today as well. This is why he says, watch these signs of the times there. The striking parallels are so key that we look at from the flood, the times of the flood, and what was taking place then, and also what is happening today, the judgment that will come during the tribulation period. In fact, even Genesis chapter 6 opens up where you're seeing how things are going from bad to worse on earth at that time. And he tells us in verse 5 and 6 of that chapter how the Lord saw the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent and thought of the heart was only evil continually. So it's getting worse and worse, just like what we're living today and we're seeing today. And the Lord was sorry that he made man on the earth, and it grieved his heart. It grieves his heart to see what's going on around the world morally. He's grieved at his creation, living in such rebellion and wickedness. And there is a need to confess and repent of our sin and get into that right relationship with the Lord, and may we live those lives that please him. But a couple interesting items just to pull out that's going on, as a Jerusalem Post had an article talking about how Iran pays $830 million to Hezbollah. For those who know, Hezbollah is one of the top terrorist organizations, so we know that there's going to be a lot more terrorist activity, a lot more attacks against Israel through Hezbollah, but they're getting the funding, and they've always been getting the funding, and they've also been getting the weaponry from Iran. Iran is one of the worst terrorist organization countries in the world. They're funding terrorism. They're supplying the ammunition to Hamas and Hezbollah. So they increased it since the nuclear deal. Before, it was $200 million a year. Now it's $830 million a year that they're getting all the money that they need to continue to destroy and to attack. They've been quite bogged down by the fighting that's going on in Syria because they're fighting for Assad. And then finally, as some have known, that was what North Korea did earlier this week, how they fire a second ballistic missile over Japan. So this is creating more tension in that region. And again, just 2 weeks after they did their own little nuclear bomb test, this one reached a little further. It went a little higher than the one that was fired last month. So it's just a matter of time before they actually land in a country, whether it's South Korea or Japan or Guam. It's all within reaching distance. And so once that happens, it's going to be a nuclear war that's going to take place, and millions of people are going to die because of this nut job that's leading the country in North Korea. So pray that it stops before it's too late. And again, that's a reminder for us that prayer is the key to the battle. Prayer is where we need to move, the church on our knees. Prayer is what makes all the difference in the spiritual realm in our lives as well. But, and as we mentioned before, North Korea is the number one country when it comes to the persecuted church as well. So we need to keep praying for our brothers and sisters around the world. Amen? And that concludes today's update.